Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Under the Macroscope, Skybound Capital's weekly podcast. Now, in the world of financial services and economics, I often refer to the prevalence of TLAs. What's a TLA? A three-letter acronym. And we've got another one to discuss, which has been very prominent in recent weeks and months. And Ross Muller, research analyst at Skybound Capital, joins me for this one. And Ross, you are going to be discussing with me the evolution of one of the newest TLAs, the newest three-letter acronyms, and it's NFT. So to start at the very beginning, Ross, good morning. And what is an NFT?
Yeah, thanks, Matt, and good morning to the listeners and yourself. So an NFT is a non-fungible token. They are one-of-a-kind digital asset that represents real-world items like art, real estate, in-game assets, or even music. The key to NFTs is that they allow you to prove authenticity and prove ownership, as well as create digital scarcity. I often get asked what is a non-fungible part of it. The way I like to remember it is US dollar cash is fungible, and even gold and Bitcoin is fungible. It has a set price and it's all the same. A house and artwork, however, is non-fungible. No house is the same, and they're all different values and therefore not tradable on a like-to-like basis. NFTs are digital representations of these non-fungible items. Similarly, a one-of-a-kind trading card is a non-fungible.
So Ross, what's the history here? Because I think you mentioned artwork there. That there is great history in collectibles. We've seen antiques and paintings and all kinds of things over generations increasing in value, and the value of a collectible item it has certainly increased over time. So what has led to this point? What is the history that has led us to these digital collectibles?
Yeah, so interesting enough, the concept of an NFT has been around since December 2012 with the inception of what they called colored coins. Interestingly enough, this was a project run by Vitalik Buterin. He's the creator of Ethereum, and he had a hand in building this on the Bitcoin blockchain. It was conceived from the idea of issuing real-world assets like real estate on a blockchain. But as we know, there were quite a few limitations of a Bitcoin's scripting language, and these were inadequate to sustain the application. A few years later, however, a company called Counterparty in 2014 built an open source protocol on the Bitcoin blockchain. It included several projects with its own assets, including a card meme trading game. They later, Spells of Genius game creators became the first to issue an in-game asset on a blockchain by a counterparty. By 2016, memes as collectibles were issued with the recognizable green frog, Rare Pepe, using a counterparty's online protocol as well.
And how big is the market to date? I mean, I've noticed certainly in the sporting world, particularly amongst certain sports in America, certain key moments in key games have been essentially converted into NFTs, which then become tradable on their own. But how big is the market right now?
So there's a few metrics that you would want to watch out for. In the sense, there's not one standard item that we look at. So by protocol, which is the engine/token running that specific blockchain, it's roughly 35 billion market cap. So those would be your engines, your thetas, your Axie Infinities. If we look at by volume since inception, it would be Axie Infinity, which is an NFT-based game of roughly $1.2 billion, followed by CryptoPunk's collection of about $1.1 billion. If we look by top sales, it would be CryptoPunks. More specifically, CryptoPunk number 7804 recently sold for $7.5 million.
And the various marketplaces that exist, are they springing up? Are they becoming more popular?
Yeah, so the biggest marketplace is actually OpenSea. It's about $4.9 billion worth from inception in trading volume. They pretty much take any type of NFT in the basis of artwork or MPEG movie files. So Rare is another one that mainly sells sports playing cards. They have about 155 sport clubs signed up to their platform. Super Rare is a place for the more astute art collector with artwork that are a little more, should I say, palatable and traditional to the CryptoPunks and the Pudgy Penguins.
What are the barriers here, Ross? Are there barriers to entry? Can anybody with a creative bent get into one of these marketplaces?
So this is probably the most asked question in a way, and this is why it's probably been most successful, is because the barriers to entry are so small. You just need to be, as an artist, familiar with the platforms, have your digital artwork digitized or your traditional artwork digitized. You can then take this onto an OpenSea, a Super Rare, and sign up as easy as 1, 2, 3, connect your digital wallets and list within 1 to 2 minutes. And this is what's breaking down those barriers, and it's giving these artists a place to showcase their art. And this has been the hugely successful reason for why it's taken up so much volume and been so rapidly adopted.
It may be an unfair question to you because you might not have the precise answer, but I almost want to interrogate the user side of this transaction. Is where are people consuming the tokens that they buy? Or is it satisfactory enough to them that they live on a digital device?
So what we've seen is the biggest wallet, if we speak from a wallet terms, is MetaMask is probably the most used wallet. People send their Ethereum or their what they call WETH, which is another type of Ethereum. It's just a token that we use to transact on these platforms. And ultimately, people are using the Ethereum network more so because it has the most widely accepted and most widely adopted smart contract system. Another one that's recently been quite popular is Polygon, which is an Indian-based company, and India has been quite prevalent in this space as well with regards to the sporting NFTs. So if we look from that side, Ethereum is definitely the most dominant blockchain cryptocurrency being used to transact.
I have this vision of maybe having a massive, very high definition screen mounted on a wall where I can, in the fullness of time, show off my various NFTs. Is that a realistic thought?
100%. And I think that's something that people maybe haven't thought about. They just see a GIF or an image that can be easily copied on the website that you're on. Let's not forget that people have hanging pieces of the Mona Lisa at home, and so those are easily copied as well. But you definitely hit a point where we can actually showcase our art. And something that Facebook is working on is a similar like project to Zoom, but it's a more metaverse type world where it's myself personalized and humanized in the digital world. I can ultimately go in and buy skins for my company profile. If I had to be in a boardroom, I'd see you opposite me wearing, normal, maybe traditional work clothes, but maybe I could have a hat on, or I could have an Armani suit. And this is what we might see in the future, is the ability to almost pimp yourself in your new world and almost have your same realistic sort of persona in the digital world. And that's not to say that we won't be building homes in the digital space, like a company called Decentraland. They allow you to build your own worlds. And why not come into my home with my NFT hanging in the background, digitized in this world? So there's definitely cases that are being researched, and obviously people are trying and testing new things. And I think that's pretty cool.
So Ross, earlier in the podcast, you mentioned some pretty staggering numbers around trading volumes on the various platforms. Can you give us some stats on recent sales in this space?
Sure. So Beeple is probably the most widely known artist. That's Beeple with a B for B. He recently sold his artwork for a whopping $69 million. There have been other successes like the CryptoPunks and the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Last week on OpenSea, which is the largest marketplace, did about $195 million in just one day of sales volume. They also finally topped the 1 billion in sales volume in 1 week, which is, I think, quite remarkable for the space.
Absolutely extraordinary. So just in closing, why is Skybound, and you in particular, I know, so interested in this particular space?
So in a way, not to discredit the current art landscape, it's obviously had a lot of innovation and spurred a lot of thoughts, but I think 99% of these will be forgotten about, and the 1% will succeed and remain, like most artwork, I guess. However, there are more real cases that Skybound is interested in. There is the DeFi NFT space called Just Liquidity, which allows you to stake your coins and earn an NFT to gain access to the next pool. There's an NFT marketplace that allows musicians to manage their music and earn royalties from their music. There's also NFTs can be used for logistics. Think about NFTs being used for ticketing in cricket stadiums. But the one that Skybound Capital and Rundle Management Services are quite interested in is the management of our high sportsman profile, sportsmen, and ensuring their IP. This is something we're currently investigating and researching a little bit further in to help our clients further their actual IP rights. So this is something of very big interest to us.
Yeah, fantastic. It really is a fascinating space, and one that is evolving by all accounts almost every 24 hours. And just by some of the stats you've given us today on trading volumes in these marketplaces and individual sales by individual artists, it is a space that needs to be taken very, very seriously. Ross, always great to catch up. And I know you're always at the cutting edge of these things. And it sometimes takes you a little longer to convince me of their authenticity. But this one really has grabbed our collective attention. So thanks once again for your time. The Under the Macroscope podcast is available on Apple, Spotify, and also the Google podcast platform for Android. And all the past episodes of Under the Macroscope podcasts are available at our website, www.skyboundcapital.com. Until next time on Under the Macroscope, have a great week.